Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cindy Baggett with Feeding the Gulf Coast. Welcome to our third segment in the Table, our Lunch and Learn series. I'm excited today for Michael Ledger, our President and CEO, and Kyle Schoolar, our Community Engagement and Advocacy Manager, to just share some of our updates, operationally speaking, and also how Feeding the Gulf Coast engages with the community from an advocacy perspective. In today's segment, Michael will share with us a year in review, and Kyle is going to talk to us a little bit about hunger relief advocacy, and then I'll talk to you some about how you can become involved, and we'll take questions and answers in the last few minutes. So, Michael, take it away.
Thank you, Cindy. For all of you that have joined us today, thank you so much for taking the time. We greatly appreciate it. And anyone that might be viewing this later, we appreciate your time as well. We think it's important that we put word out as to what we're doing. We work with a lot of partners, a lot of volunteers, a lot of agencies, and we want to be as communicative as we can be to make sure that we're explaining what we do, why we do it, and who we do it with. And hopefully you'll have a better understanding of who we're helping and the ways we're trying to accomplish that. We're talking about the year in review. We had just come off a record year for food distribution in 2019, in which we distributed 29 million pounds of food. And this year, of course, really we expected to increase that modestly, but this year's pushed us much harder than we thought we would be as we came into March and the rest of the world found that COVID was spreading. And with that, things like unemployment began to explode, businesses closing, and the need for food and food insecurity really began to explode as well, unfortunately. And the need for our services and the food that we provide exploded with it. And as we were responding to that, we came into hurricane season, and Hurricane Sally hit our area, which consists of 24 counties across 3 states, 22,000 square miles. As a food bank, we are unique in many ways, one of which is that we service 3 states, 24 counties, and 22,000 square miles. There are a couple other food banks that are across state lines, that work across state lines, but not many of them. This gives us a competitive advantage, I think, in some ways, because working with each state, the communities within those states, the government entities, county, state, city, we get to see how someone else is doing it, and hopefully we can help inform and improve the functions in other states by cross-pollinating some of those good ideas and maybe learning some things not to do along the way. All of which hopefully makes us a better organization. And when we're a better organization, we're helping more people, and that's why we're here. That's our primary mission. So everything we do is informed by our mission, which is to try to alleviate food insecurity. During the year, Dave Rainey had been our interim CEO. They had a CEO search, which concluded with me in this role almost 4 months now, or actually maybe a little over 4 months. Time flies when you're fighting hurricanes and a pandemic. We started a long hoped for expansion in Florida. And in our next table, I think we're going to be able to share some updates, pictures, show you exactly what's happening on the ground there. I think it'll be interesting to see the progress that's being made. We had hoped that might start a few months earlier, but as most of you probably know, construction projects never go exactly to plan. But we worked hard with our contractors, engineers, and the county, Santa Rosa County in Florida, to get the ball rolling. And it has started 2 or 3 weeks now. I think it's been since they broke ground. We'd hoped to do a groundbreaking ceremony, but as many of you know, things like that don't work so well during a pandemic. So we're hoping when this project is complete, which we're shooting for March or April, that we're going to have a grand opening. So hopefully you'll be seeing something in the news. And as I said and promised for the next table, hopefully we'll be showing you some progress over there. This is going to really be amazing for us in Florida. The amount of pounds that they put out through that facility is anywhere from 50 to 100% more than the facility was envisioned doing. That's done because accomplished through a lot of hard work. and it's greatly appreciated. And with our new expansion, new cooler, existing cooler converted to a freezer, we're going to just so much more capacity there. We're very excited about it. In Mississippi, our facility in Gulfport, we had a cooler installed there, an over 1,000 square foot walk-in cooler. We've also had racking delivered there. We have a couple pieces of forklift equipment there, and we're starting to improve our facility and the amount of outreach we're going to be able to provide in Mississippi as we expand and improve that facility. So that's been exciting to see that starting to take shape. And I'm working with the team here to work on our next steps, work on budgeting. Of course, we have to pay for all this, and that comes through a lot of hard work, raising the funds to do it. But we have a great team working on it. Child nutrition, we're talking, looking at putting a kitchen in there, which would be amazing. Our ability to provide hot meals to children in Mississippi directly from our facility, which we do out of our Alabama facility currently. So we're working on that. I was actually just meeting with our child nutrition director and discussing that. The estimates aren't cheap, but we know that it's going to be well worth it when we're helping children with hot meals. So we're going to be working hard on that. Because of the pandemic and the hurricanes, child nutrition has been running all 4 programs and at once, and that's really unprecedented because kids aren't at school. They say that the kitchen in a school is an important means of nutrition, and it's the biggest restaurant in the country. When kids aren't at school, that's a meal that they may not get. So we have other programs to reach these children to make sure that they're getting nutrition. And our program there is working really hard during a very difficult time. And we expect that to continue throughout this entire school year, or what there is of the school year. Our SNAP outreach department has been working really hard because of the hurricanes. We've had a few instances where DSNAP was approved, and they have done an amazing job getting the DSNAP information out there and getting people plugged into vital resources. Also, just normal SNAP outreach has exploded again because of increased unemployment, and they have been really working hard. I think that's another thing about this food bank that I really want to try to impress on everyone is we don't just put food out. We're looking at a holistic solution. We're trying to reach children, adults, families. We have elderly programs to reach specifically out to the elderly who are in need. Of course, as I was mentioning, our child nutrition, and then our SNAP program that's putting the word out and getting people plugged in incredibly important resources. So all of these programs together reflect what Feeding the Gulf Coast does. And I'm so proud of the team. I like to brag about the team here any chance I get. Speaking of which, just a couple shout outs we got. This was primarily in response to the hurricane, but we received a shout out. I just want to give a shout out to Feeding the Gulf Coast today. Spoke with the commissioner in a northern county in Alabama, and she was singing our praises. They truly appreciate our team's responsiveness to the needs in Southwest Alabama, especially the hard-hit areas. When the hurricanes are coming, this team mobilizes. We're meeting days in advance. We have our disaster plan book out. We're going through the checklist. We're working hard to make sure that as soon as we can get on the ground and trucks out on the roads, we're out there with support. And our team, I'm so proud to say, have done a great job of that. So that was one great feedback we got. Another one was Feeding a Gulf Coast is amazing. Your team was informed of multiple needs this past week and quickly turned around and provided. Thank you. I greatly appreciate your continued service. So many people reach out with kind words, and like I said, I'd like to share at least a couple of those to reflect what amazing work this team has done. As the hurricanes, I was discussing those, each one presented a unique challenge. Sally, as most of you probably know, was a very slow mover and sat out on the shoreline and pounded the shoreline for practically a full day. This created a lot of tragedy for folks along the coastline, in particular, Escambia County, Florida, and Baldwin County, Alabama, but also Mobile County, and then Santa Rosa County in Florida, and many other counties. That was kind of the eye of it, or the really ground zero where the impact was at. And our teams were out in both states, working really hard to reach those people, and trying to help them when have lost everything, their refrigerator, all their dry goods, and maybe their job in the process. And I'm proud to say we put millions of pounds of food out there for them. And then along came Zeta, completely opposite experience. It was a fast mover, even by hurricane standards, and it maintained power as it reached our northern counties like Washington, Clark, Monroe, Perry, Greene, Stone, and Mississippi. Those counties really, the word I heard was they hadn't seen that kind of destruction since a tornado outbreak in 2011. We really, unfortunately, in our service area, unlike Hurricane Michael, which we were really responding in an amazing way, but it was a very focused effort in a few counties. We got to experience a hurricane level disaster in most of our entire 24 county service area between those two hurricanes, and the team really stepped up and did an amazing job. Let's see, what else would I like to share with you? Oh, I want to talk about the Thanksgiving events that we held. In Mississippi and Alabama, distributed 500 Thanksgiving meals, a full turkey, all the fixings, everything you'd want, partnering with Winn-Dixie. They did an amazing job with us. We've had the opportunity to do that for several years now, and we're so pleased to have the opportunity to work with them. And I can't do a year in review without talking about all the partners that we work with. We don't do all this amazing work if we're not working with individuals, groups, other nonprofits, businesses. It takes all of those, and of course, government entities, which I'm pleased to say Kyle's here to talk about here later in this presentation. We don't get any of that done without all of that support. None of this happens, and that was one example of it. In Florida, we typically work with an organization that puts on an event. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it was canceled. But the team rose to the challenge. They said, well, we're going to have to figure out a way. We're not going to let this happen without doing something for Thanksgiving. And certainly, it didn't look like the normal event. But the important thing is we still fed 1,000 people, 500 in Santa Rosa County and 500 in Escambia County, because of the diligence of the team over there. And I'm very proud of them, proud of all of the branches, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. And that's just an example of these guys working to figure out how to get something done in spite of the hurdles that may be placed in front of us. So next, we were going to do a highlight. I was talking about, you see this screen here on the screen, this slide. We work with over 400 agencies across these 24 counties. And when I say, it's a team effort, this is where really the rubber hits the road. These are the folks that are out there giving of their time, of their resources, to put food in the hands of those that need it. And without them, that one of the most important links in this chain, this work doesn't happen. And I thought it would be fun to talk about a few of them. We're not trying to highlight any over another, but we had some stories here to tell, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of put faces, names on some of these dots across this large area that we service. So the first one in Greene County, Mississippi, is Friends Helping Friends. Mr. McLean has been a partner with us for many years. He has wonderful stories to tell about his volunteers and the people he serves. He does a mobile pantry each month as his distribution, and serves over 200 families. He loves it when we send fresh produce that we have received from farmers. He has his distribution set up down to a science. And I think that's an important point to make. These distributions, particularly at the time of COVID, are really something to see. To give out food to 200 people on the surface may not sound like much of an undertaking, but when you have all the food there in front of you and you have these people in a line, making that happen in and of itself is quite a task. Add in COVID and the need to maintain safety. Many of our volunteers may be elderly, at high risk. So finding ways, and our participants, the folks that come to receive the food. So having drive-through models, making sure that we're keeping our distance. A lot of things in the background have gone into thinking through how do we do a distribution and how do we do that distribution safely. Amazing job, and we thank their support in Greene County. The next one we were going to talk about was in Stone County, Mississippi again. This is New Beginnings. Ms. Fairley is very well connected to the community and received truckloads of disaster product following the Hurricane Zeta to make sure the people of Stone County were served. She was getting calls from many people in need of her assistance across Stone County, from emergency management to elected officials. And this puts a great example of when I say that we're connected with all kinds of organizations. Here we are, a partner of ours, New Beginnings in Stone County, on the ground, stepping up during a hurricane to put food in the hands of those that have been devastated by it. And the county relying on their services and ours to make that happen. When these hurricanes come, we're on the list of agencies that are organizations that are contacted and considered mission critical. Obviously, things like food and water are something you cannot go without. And our ability to get the food out there and to partner with our amazing agencies to help those, this is a great example of that. Next, we go to Baldwin County. We're heading to Alabama now. This is the Christian Service Center. Stan Moss began hosting distributions in the areas impacted by Hurricane Sally immediately following the storm. He was able to serve clients from around Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and Fort Morgan. Christian Service Center was able to reach many small communities in Baldwin County, the Baldwin County area, doing food deliveries through their volunteers. Another thing worth mentioning, because of COVID, because of the hurricanes, the increased need, not only were our agencies that have been with us for some time and critical to us, servicing, helping and servicing the need, but we also had so many new organizations step up and said, how can we help? Can we become another brick and mortar pantry, or can we do mobile distributions? And here's a great case of that. And also not just delivering it right there at the site, but they were out hitting people because of transportation issues. They were getting the food in the hands of people that couldn't make it to these distributions. So amazing work. And again, it's what makes it all happen. Now we're traveling to Mobile County, Triumph Ministries. Miss Davis services Citronella area. Her organization has hosted steady distribution since Hurricane Zeta hit in October. Miss Davis said she was able to go into very small towns in her community to ensure the areas where need was met following the storm. So here we go again. Someone stepping up and saying, "How can I help?" Our team, agency relations, is the front line, working with our agencies. Not only are they supporting, as I said, these agencies we've been working with for a long time, but they're onboarding new ones, and there's a process to that, as you might imagine. We want to make sure we're giving food to the people that are gonna do good things with it. We want to make sure that they understand how to handle food safely, and we want to make sure that they're in a place that's going to have the greatest impact. Fortunately, our agency relations team is terrific, and they're out there working with them every day to bring these folks online so that people in need can be helped. And now we're going to cross the border into Florida, Santa Rosa County. Men in Action served 500 families at our Thanksgiving mobile food distribution. This is one of the ones I was discussing. Warren expressed his gratitude for the partnership between his organization and Feeding the Gulf Coast in response to COVID-19 and the following disasters. Men in Action has been an integral part of filling the gap in the heart of Santa Rosa County. Another relatively new partner, but they've been working with us for some time now, and they've been awesome to work with, and have stepped up when we had the food and we knew we needed, and we had the people that needed it, and we needed that partner to hit certain areas in Santa Rosa County. They've stepped up and put out hundreds of thousands of pounds of food. That's just one agency doing amazing work. And then lastly, we're going to Bay County, way over the other part of our service area. Hand Up International served over 600 individuals in October. Jeanette spoke about how happy the participants were to receive a great variety of food. With a large team of 26 volunteers and a monthly total of 208 volunteer hours, Hand Up International continues to remain driven in their efforts to fight food insecurity within Bay County. Like I say, there are so many agencies all across this territory that represent what I'm about to say. Hand Up is so important to that community. The work they do, so many, we've partnered with private business and we've had food placed at their on their docks at a private business, and then a Hand Up meeting us there to do distributions, and everywhere else that it's needed. Really, they're omnipresent in that county, and other agencies in that county doing amazing work. And we were talking about new partnerships. One of the ones that we're really happy with, Gulf Coast Veterans Healthcare System in Mississippi. They did a distribution of over 200 food boxes to veterans. Another thing that we advocate for, which we'll be talking about here coming up, and it's so meaningful to be able to reach veterans who find themselves in a position where they are experiencing food insecurity. And as I may have mentioned earlier, because of COVID or a hurricane, people that would never dream they would be in a situation like that find themselves in that situation. You can never really know who might be in that position by just looking at them or their experience in life. Life has a way of sometimes, unfortunately, putting us in positions we could have never anticipated. And that's what we work diligently at, is trying to be prepared to help them when they find themselves there. And I think that's a good transitional point for me to say that I was mentioning earlier, we really try to take a holistic approach to solving food insecurity. As I mentioned, many of the other departments, and reaching all kinds of different people, from veterans to seniors to children, families. But we need to make sure that we get the word out. We need to make sure that people understand what we're fighting out here with, alongside our incredible volunteers, alongside the agencies and other partners we work with every day. And one of the important ways we do that is through advocacy. Another part of this holistic approach we take, and I'm really pleased to say that you're going to get to hear a lot more about that. Cindy?
Thank you so much, Michael. What a wonderful way to highlight our agency partnerships. Truly, we could not do the work that we do in the community without our agencies. They are the heart and soul of our mission, and it's wonderful that we have the opportunity to just highlight some of the special ways that they reach the communities they serve. Another really important part of the work of Feeding the Gulf Coast is our community engagement efforts. So Kyle Schoolar, as I mentioned, is our community engagement and advocacy manager. Kyle's going to talk to us about how important our efforts to advocate for our work, to make sure that hunger as an issue remains at the forefront as often as we can, so that we do have the support that we need to continue to fulfill our mission. So Kyle, if you could share with us now, that would be great. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Cindy, and thank you all for joining us today. You know, President John F. Kennedy once said, "We have the ability as members of the human race, we have the means and we have the capacity to eliminate hunger from the face of the earth in our lifetime. We only need the will." At Feeding the Gulf Coast, it is our mission to eliminate hunger here on the Central Gulf Coast. And one of the ways we work to ensure the efficient use of the available means and maximize our capacity is through our advocacy efforts. So what is advocacy? Advocacy is the act or process of supporting a cause or proposal. The act or process of advocating. It's a very broad term, and today we're going to speak more specifically to our legislative advocacy efforts. So legislative advocacy in its simplest terms is working with individual lawmakers and lawmaking bodies to gain support for your cause or initiative, for the needs of a specific population, for an organization or group of organizations, or for specific services. So sharing stories is one way in which of how hunger directly impacts our communities is critical to our ability to advocate for our agencies and our neighbors they serve. Let's take a quick look at Emily's story in this video.
I daydream about my future a lot. I swear on my life, my kids will have a better childhood than I do.
The kids that come to the library are wonderful. They are often facing really difficult situations. I'm the teen librarian.
I get approximately 5 hours a day at the library. It's great. There's positive people, there's books, there's also computers we can play games on. My name is Emily. I live in a family with my dad, my sister, and my brother. My dad's a hard worker, but sometimes it's just not enough. We don't have a lot of food. My dad might buy food here and there, but it runs out really fast.
A lot of kids out here, their parents work multiple jobs, so they're really pretty much on their own from the time school gets out until late at night. We realized that we had to do more. So from there, we were able to add in the snack time. Snack time is a program that everyone ages 0 to 18 is able to come into every day at the library.
The snack time is amazing. It's really healthy and it's really yummy to eat. I usually get my food from school and the library.
It really helps with their behavior, and it really helps them do their homework.
I think eating food makes me feel a lot better so I can focus more. If I didn't have any of that, then my family would probably starve.
For a lot of our kids, it's a really important part of their day, and it is for us too. When they look at you and you know that you're helping them, it's impossible not to love them.
The reason why I get out of bed every morning is because I have friends and family that keep me positive, and because it's library.
Emily's story is just, it helps highlight some of the work that we do here and those that we advocate for. So our child nutrition team works every day to help ensure children like Emily have access to nutritious snacks and meals here on the Central Gulf Coast. On our last episode, you got to hear from Eugenie Sellier, our child nutrition programs manager, about the important work her team is doing to help children have better access to nutritious food. This work includes partnering with libraries across our service area, just like in that video, to provide snacks and meals. They refer to it as snack time in the story that was just shared, but that's a more localized name for one of the federal nutrition programs for which we advocate. Feeding the Gulf Coast operates several federal nutrition programs. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, it was formerly known as the Food Stamps Program. The Child and Adult Care Food Service Program, which is also known as After School Meals. The Summer Food Service Program, what we call Summer Meals. The Emergency Food Assistance Program, which is TFAP, also known as the Commodities Program, and the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which targets seniors. Not only do these programs help us make efficient use of available means to fight hunger, but they're critical to our ability to help expand our community partners' capacities to serve their communities and also supplement our inventory. Obviously, 2020 has brought with it many challenges, but it has brought with it many opportunities for us to share the work of our network and the critical role these federal nutrition programs play in our ability to fight hunger with our elected officials at all levels of government. So how do we do this? We take advantage of a variety of interactions and touch points. These include office visits, at which we literally visit our elected officials' offices to speak and provide an update about the work that's going on to fight hunger here on the Gulf Coast. And it also gives us an opportunity to share with those elected officials ways in which their offices can help our work through legislation, through appropriations, and other ways. In 2020, we obviously had to pivot those interactions to more virtual or phone meetings after March. We also provide regular program updates to our elected officials across our states. It's not exclusive to just the impacts of our federal nutrition programs, but also to other programs like disaster relief. As Michael mentioned, we've had the most active Atlantic hurricane season on record, and several storms have impacted our service area. So it's very critical for us to share our efforts and also to provide resource information so those elected officials could then share that with their constituents, seeking food assistance as a result of those storms. We also encourage our elected officials to visit Feeding the Gulf Coast or one of our community partners to see our hunger relief programs in action. Congressman Byrne recently visited our facility this year, and we have hosted elected officials at mobile distributions and also summer meal sites and other of our partner agencies. An example of a success with our efforts this year would be working with our child nutrition team, government officials, the USDA, and the appropriate state programs to ensure that our summer meal service was able to continue, that we had the proper program funding in place, that we had the flexibilities and waivers to be able to provide meals in a safe way. Particularly, to those kids, when schools closed in March, children lost access to much needed nutritious food that they would normally be receiving at schools. And working with our child nutrition team, those government officials, the USDA, the appropriate state agencies, in our child nutrition sites, we were able to have those safety measures in place. Children could come to libraries, community centers, and other areas, to get those snacks and meals that they otherwise wouldn't have access to. And that helped ensure that kids like Emily still had access to those nutritious food. We don't do this alone, though. We're members of the Feeding America Network. We have a strong government relations team who has an office in DC. They help us, they help guide our legislative priorities. They help us appeal to our elected officials. We also work with our state associations. In Florida, we've got Feeding Florida. In Alabama, we got the Alabama Food Bank Association, and those are pivotal. Those are critical to our ability to help work at the state level to get initiatives through. We're actually working on an appropriations request in Mississippi. We will be. We work on an appropriations request in Florida, and we also work within the state of Alabama just to ensure that our elected officials understand the impacts that hunger has on the communities and their constituents and ways that they can get involved and help us fight hunger. Another thing too, that as a result of COVID-19 was CARES Act funding. That came through. The Congress passed CARES Act and the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, and we were able to work with our states to see how we could allocate those funds to help increase our ability to respond to the increased need due to COVID-19. And that's just been critical. All of these programs were critical in our response. We saw the need just rise so exponentially, and so we could not have done that without the help of these federal nutrition programs. And as we move ahead, we'll find out more, take a deeper dive into those federal nutrition programs so you can see exactly how those impact our communities, how they help our community partners stretch their capacities and really be there for those in their communities when they need them. So how can you become an advocate for those facing hunger in your community? It is so easy. One of the easiest ways is just to follow us on social media at Feeding the Gulf Coast. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and there you can find out more about our programs. You can find out opportunities for you to take action. We share those out regularly. So that's one of the easiest ways to become an advocate for those struggling with hunger in your community. You can also sign up to receive our newsletters and updates. Those take a deeper dive into our work. So in order to subscribe to those, you can visit our website and sign up. If you would like to receive a printed copy of our newsletter, you can just send an email to communications@feedingthegulfcoast.org and just include your name and address. You can also tune in to future episodes of The Table. You'll have the opportunity to learn more about our many programs, including these federal nutrition programs I touched on today, and the critical role that they play in our work. And obviously, we'll have time for question and answer. So if you have any questions you would like for us to answer today, you can submit those and we can get those answered for you. Thank you for joining us today. I'll turn it back over to Cindy.
Thank you so much, Kyle. What a great overview of just the value of the relationships that we build, not just in the community, but at the state and federal levels. So I just really thank you for that. And I look forward to future segments where we can really talk a little bit more specifically about how our advocacy works within the various programs that we have. It's always important, we always want to mention that if anyone watching or if anyone knows anyone watching needs help, please visit our website, feedingthegulfcoast.org, or you can call 888-704-FOOD to find help. From right there on our website, you can select the Find Help option, enter your zip code, and be directed to a pantry or an agency right in your community. So it's very important. We just really want to create more awareness about the resources that we have to help individuals and families who are in need in the community. Michael, were you gonna?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I failed to hit a couple slides here. I'm difficult to work with. But one of the ones I wanted to mention was, so to date, we have provided 27 million meals. And that's an amazing number. It equates to probably about 33 million pounds of food. And the team just deserves so much applause for that. And we're thinking we're going to land somewhere between 35 and 40 million pounds of food by the end of the year. Time will tell. And the next slide wanted to highlight was the fact that we have had over 770 global food distributions. That is an amazing number. I would say it's at least double what it was last year, if not more. And again, this is a lot of hard work. Our agency relations department working with agencies to put on mobile food distributions. And then of course, everyone else involved, operations, the warehouse, the drivers that take all this food out there to these places, and just everyone involved in this process doing an amazing amount of work, an amazing job, and 770 is just a huge number. The next slide, the food we were talking about, over 1.1 million meals have been served to children throughout this year. That's 1.1 million meals that these children might have gone without. And I really can't, I think that says it all, actually. It's just a staggering number, and we are so pleased to be able to help and help these children, as nutrition at that time of their life is as critical as it can be regarding their development physically, mentally. We want to make sure that they grow up to be strong, happy and productive adults, and making sure they get these meals as a part of that. And then lastly, our SNAP program, our outreach program we were talking about, those applications have generated over 6.1 million meals. People that are in need, again, those that may be unemployed, lost their homes due to a hurricane, myriad of other reasons they could find themselves in that position. And our outreach team is working every day to make sure that these people are able to find that support that is available to them. Thanks for letting me jump back in there.
Of course, thank you. Those big numbers that Michael shared with us, it's so hard sometimes to get your head around what those numbers look like. And one way that we try to illustrate that is, so prior to COVID-19, we know that in our service area, 1 in 5 individuals, 1 in 4 children were food insecure. And now after COVID, what we've seen with the increase is 1 in 4 individuals and 1 in 3 children. It's hard to imagine that of every 3 children that you see, 1 of those children may be hungry. 1 of them may not know where their next meal is coming from. That's why the work that we do, that's only possible through all these partnerships, through the collective impact of those who advocate on our behalf, those agency partners and our volunteers and our supporters, is so vital to what we do. So we, one thing that people probably don't realize is in 2019, we accomplished our mission. We were able to provide those 29 million pounds of food that Michael referenced because of the volunteers that supported us. We had nearly 20,000 volunteers who contributed nearly 200,000 hours of their time to help us serve our mission. So if you're interested in becoming involved, the way that the food bank works is the 3 F's. So food, feed, and funds. So food, which is the donated food from our retail partners and others in the community. Feed, the hands and feet of our volunteers who come in and who help us sort food and pack food or pack the backpacks that those children receive. Or funds, the monetary donations that support our work. So what I like to say is that any one person can make a difference, whether it's $1, 1 hour, or 1 item of food. So if you or an organization that you're affiliated with would like to become involved to help us serve our mission, please visit our website, feedingthegulfcoast.org, and you can find a multitude of ways that you can become involved. Not only is it a very meaningful experience, but it's very fulfilling, but most of the opportunities are fun. Our volunteer groups come in and they really get as much as they give generally. So we just welcome you to reach out to us through our website. We'd love to engage you in our mission. So I know that we're going to accept some questions. If you have questions and you've submitted them into the Q&A box, we're going to give everyone just a moment to see if we have any questions that we'd like to present. So please feel free to enter those now.
While she's looking at the questions that we'll be getting, I was going to mention, you're talking about the fun and the satisfaction. Bryant Bank was here yesterday, just one of so many groups that come and help. It's really impressive. But the gentleman that was running it said that they want to go out, they take a day to go out and help the community. And when they asked, well, where would you like to go? And they said, everyone in unison basically said, we want to go back to Feeding the Gulf Coast. And that's what they say every year. We want to go back to Feeding the Gulf Coast. So when as Cindy said, it's satisfying, and we do try to have a little fun along the way. They were packing up backpacks for the kids yesterday. So hopefully had some fun, and there's not many more ways to feel satisfied than knowing that what you're putting together is going to help a child have nourishment. So.
Absolutely. It's very impactful to know that your hands are on the food that's going into a bag that's going to be in a child's backpack this week. So it's very meaningful. It's a wonderful way to give back to the community. So I have a couple of questions here. So I will, I'll start with you, Kyle. So we have an advocacy related question. And the question is, how do I get to know my elected officials?
Okay, so each county should have a supervisor of elections, and so you can either call your supervisor of elections office and get a list of those elected officials. They should provide those to you at all levels, starting from county commission, up through your state elected officials, and also to your federal elected officials as well. So I would start with a supervisor of elections. You can also do an online search. Ballotpedia is a good resource to find out who it is that's representing you. So one of those two resources. If you encounter an issue, you could always reach out to us and we could try to help you, point you in that right direction as well.
Thank you. Next question. We talked a lot about the challenges of 2020 and the increase in need that we've seen. Michael, this question is for you. What is something that we're looking forward to as we look ahead to 2021? We hope that we leave a lot of these challenges behind in 2020, but what are some of your thoughts about what we hope to see in 2021 from a hunger and food insecurity perspective as related to feeding the Gulf Coast?
Yes. Well, I think we're of the mind that unfortunately this is going to persist. We have a vaccine on the horizon, and from what we hear, throughout this month, sometime this month, the first vaccinations will be taking place. And I believe they're going to be working with medical first responders and the elderly, and then rolling it out from there. I think that at least the first 6 months of next year are still going to be impacted by COVID in some way, unfortunately. So businesses that are at 50% capacity or working reduced hours are still going to be forced to do that. But I do think on the bright side, at some point throughout next year, we're going to start to see this transition where we're able to get back to the old normal. But a lot of businesses won't come back. They've had to close and they won't be able to come back. Others will have to slowly work their way back as revenue rebounds and bring more workers back online. But it's going to be a process. And so here at the Feeding the Gulf Coast, we are prepared to continue to work hard at this pace. But hopefully sometime throughout the year, we'll see a transition start to occur. And hopefully it will subside to some degree, but I don't foresee that in the near future.
All right, thank you, Michael. So I have one final question. We have just a couple minutes left, so I'm going to direct this question to you, Kyle. The question is, if someone wants to become an advocate specific to hunger-related issues, how would they go about that?
Okay, so I would say the simplest or an easy way to become an advocate for those struggling with hunger in your community is to visit the food bank. Come by Feeding the Gulf Coast. Let us take you on a tour. Let us show you, how we are working to fight hunger in your community and what that actually looks like. How many people are struggling with hunger in your community, what agencies are out there, boots on the ground, fighting hunger in your community. If you don't want to come to the food bank, you can visit a pantry. We can put you in contact with your local pantry and you can go see the work that they're doing. I would say, start with just learning more about what hunger looks like, things that are going on, initiatives that are going on to help resolve it. And you can do that, by visiting us, visiting a pantry, visiting a child nutrition site, following us on social media, as I mentioned earlier, signing up for our community updates and our newsletter. That way you just become well informed. The more informed you are, the better of an advocate you can be. But it can start so easily just by liking us on social media, following that, and also just taking a tour, seeing what's being done.
Yeah, our marketing and development department do an amazing job of getting the word out. And if you follow us on one of those platforms, Facebook, for example, you're going to be up to date and up to speed on a lot of things that are happening, and you can share that on your timeline and share that with your friends. Those kind of acts can just increase awareness, which is a huge way to advocate for what we try to do here.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. And I think that anyone who is watching, they've taken the first step to becoming an advocate because they've become better informed and they're learning more about our mission and how we work to serve the community. And I know that makes all of us very happy to know that we have people who are watching who do want to learn more and become involved. So if you'd like to share this version of the table, this will be posted later. We will email a version of it to anyone who was signed up. Please be looking for more information about our next segment, which will take place in January. In the meantime, we wish everyone a very happy holiday season. Please reach out to us, as I mentioned, our website, feedingthegulfcoast.org, if you'd like more information to find out how you can become involved. And we just thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.